back to Women Making Moves, where we celebrate the moves that women are making. My name is Amy Pons. I'm a Master Certified Life Coach and a Soul Healer. I'm joined today with Imani Moore. Imani is a transformational life coach. She empowers a diversity of people to embrace and unleash their brilliant potential by identifying what's holding them back so they can step into their power, break free from burnout, and finally live a beautiful life that's in line with who they are and what they want. She's also the CEO and founder of Beautiful Becoming. Her mission is to help people around the world embrace being more boundless, more bolder, and more braver. With over several years of leadership experience in the retail industry, Imani has an impressive reputation for being able to coach, lead, and inspire others. During that time, Imani worked vigorously to shed more light on the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Imani has organized and led several DE&I meetings and discussed topics such as mental health awareness, psychological safety in the workplace, women's empowerment, and more. One of her proudest moments to date was being able to discuss the importance of creating a DE&I culture in the workplace and integrating it into leadership development with Target's Executive VP and Chief Community Impact and Equity Officer, Kiera Fernandez. In March of this year, Empowering Her Network recognized Imani and put the spotlight on her coaching business, Beautiful Becoming. Imani believes that embodying our higher self, clarifying our core values, knowing our why, and tapping into that Michael Jordan mindset is key to achieving the impossible. Imani, welcome.
Thank you so much, Amy. Thank you for having me.
What is the Michael Jordan mindset? I probably know it. I'm just not.
So the Michael Jordan mindset, if you've ever seen the Last Dance documentary, everyone knows that Michael Jordan could be a bit of an asshole, but he made his teammates better. And he had so many people throughout his life that doubted him, that didn't believe in him. But he knew that no matter what, he was going to be the greatest basketball player of all time. So he just manifested that and he reached that end goal. And it's just continuously having that faith in yourself and that confidence in yourself, no matter who doesn't believe in you. That is the Michael Jordan mindset.
Yeah, I did watch The Last Dance. It's been a while. So much of your bio I vibe with, of course. Imani and I have been dear friends for a little bit now, and so much of the work that we do is similar, and we need more of us out here because no one can do what we do, how we do it. And the vibe and the synergy that we create for around our clients and the people that can hear us is something that is really unique and special once that bond is created. So to your point, like I always say, like I guide humans to reach their highest self, and it's not that higher self is better than, it's not good or bad, right or wrong. It's not binary. It's the duality of you have everything in your arsenal right now to reach that life that you are striving for. And likely some of the things that may be keeping you in place might be the people, places, and things around you that don't serve you. So it's not about necessarily, and I love your thoughts on this too, like it is kind of cleaning your house energetically. See what might be interfering. Because a lot of times we're told get out of your own way, especially women. I don't love that because it incites something that we're doing wrong. I don't agree with that. So it's more about understanding where you want to vibrate as a human on this plane. And then naturally, people, places, and things that don't choose to meet you at that vibration fall away with ease.
Mm-hmm. I agree. First off, I want to say, Amy, this is the very first podcast of being a guest on, and I couldn't think of a better person to share this experience with. So thank you so much. And no, I totally agree with everything that you're saying. I think, in our life, when we have a purpose and we have a goal, sometimes in the beginning, those things are not always clear. And there are times where we are letting other people interfere or what that could be. And sometimes we feel stuck. But then there's a point in our lives where we figure that out. Like we figure out like what our core values are. We figure out what our why is. Things start to make sense along the way. And unfortunately, along that journey, there are some people that are just not meant to be on that path with us. And unfortunately, you just have to part ways. At the end of the day, what really matters is what we believe in, what we want for ourselves, the desires that we have in place in order to reach our full potential. And as long as we believe in ourselves, we will get to that place. It really takes being surrounded with the right people and being amongst a community of people that will challenge you, that will hold you accountable, and that will truly support you on your journey.
Yes. And when I think about, you use the word interference, I like that because it reminds me of also basketball, Michael Jordan. The people, places, and things, we are all born into this plane with a unique brilliance, a
Mm-hmm.
unique purpose, but running interference. For me, what that interference was growing up thinking there was one right way to do life, which is go to school, get a job, retire to Florida, whatever. That was the one right way. And it's not faulting anyone for having shown that to me. It's more of perpetuating more of what you know along life. So, to your point, when I started to remember my unique brilliance, which was, by the way, not 9 to 5, not hustle grind, not all of that, unsubscribe with love and light, back when I was probably about 6 or 7 years ago, I started to remember that unique brilliance. I'm like, what does that mean? And I couldn't have told you even 6 years ago what that meant. And today, I'm not sure that I'm fully equipped to tell you what that means. What I can say is that the rest of my life, I'm going to be working on figuring it out. And I'm the closest I've ever been because I'm here to be on the forefront to help humanity raise vibration. And so the interference was lifelong programming. Everybody just does the best they can until cycle breakers come along and we're like, nope. And then it's not easy to be a cycle breaker. A lot of times I can get out here and I'm very passionate, as you know, about workplace psychological safety. Psychological safety in general is like probably the top priority for me. And I try to be very, very intentional about not pinning it on a person or individual. It's more about, I want to improve the system. And oh, by the way, the people that need help or the abusers, I want to get them help. So anyway, you brought up interference. And to me, that's what interference means for me. And as a coach now, I help people understand what the interferences might be without dwelling on them. What are you finding with clients? What is their interference, or what do you feel like the people that you serve? What is the interference?
Honestly, as I've talking to a few people, talking to a few clients, what I find is what they feel is interfering in their life is honestly, a lot of them feel like they're standing in their own way. And I know we don't really like to use that term, but that is something that a lot of them have told me. Like, I know what I want. Like, I know the path that I'm trying to create for myself, but something is holding me back. Like, I just feel like I'm not strong enough. I feel like I'm not mentally where I need to be in order to get there. And I'm just trying to figure out how to break that cycle. Like, I'm trying to figure out what is truly holding me back and identify those things so that I can chart a new path forward. And like, I don't really like to use the term, like you said, standing in my own way either, but I know that there are some clients that have felt like, but I just don't know what it is. Like, and half the time it really isn't them. It's just something that they're battling with inside of their minds. But at the end of the day, I feel like it does start with us. It does start with us figuring out what it is that we truly want,
Yeah.
and figuring out how to get there.
For instance, if your lifelong goal was to live in Europe and you're genuinely trying to figure out how to get there, well, we can certainly lay out a step by step of like how to physically get you to Europe, but it's typically more than that. What type of energy do you want to feel when you get to Europe? We start backing into the energy that you want to feel. Because again, for me, that's the difference. The main difference between like mentoring and coaching. Mentoring is giving advice and helping you lay out a plan, which coaching is too, but it's in a way that the client already knows, but doesn't cognizantly know yet what that is. And we just help them get there energetically. Because again,
Mm-hmm.
book a ticket and go to Europe. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like, and it's not that easy, especially if there's like some sort of energetic block. So anyway, Imani, thank you. We do similar and different work as always. And we need more of us out here helping guide people back to themselves, their unique brilliance. So, what moves are you excited to be making right now?
I have three things, Amy. So the first thing that I'm excited about is being on this journey of self-love. And I say that because a self-love journey, like it's not linear, like there's no end point. And it's just a continuous process of like reaffirming love for myself each and every day. And that's being kind to myself, that's being patient with myself, and that's trusting myself. At the end of the month, I also have a webinar called Embodying Healthier Conversations. And I'm excited because we're going to be talking about leveling up the mindset and the power of manifestation. And then last, I would say just creating this space of being a part of a community of people that just, again, want to hold me accountable, want to challenge me, that want to support me and just cheer me on along this journey. So those are the things that I'm excited about, Amy.
That's so cool. Is your webinar at the end of the month? Is there a fee? Is there an investment?
No, it's totally free and it's going to be on Eventbrite.
Okay, amazing. Like, should have put that in show notes and everywhere. How did you come up with Beautiful Becoming?
Beautiful Becoming. It's my baby. So it's, to me, I feel like when we're on this journey of becoming the person that we want to be, I feel like it's a beautiful journey. I didn't want to call it Beautiful Journey, but I wanted to call it the Beautiful Becoming because we're becoming into this person that we want to be. And I think through that process of getting there is not going to be easy. Getting to become the person that we want to be or reach the goals that we want, that journey isn't going to be easy. There are going to be setbacks. There are going to be challenges. It's not going to be an easy road. But I think getting there is such a beautiful process. It's such a beautiful journey. That's what Beautiful Becoming came to light. When you hear stories about people's success stories, 95% of them are not like brilliant stories. Like everyone has gone through something in order to get to where they want to be. But I don't want people to forget the things that they went through or the things that they had to sacrifice in order to get to where they need to be. Like those stories need to be told. We need to embrace the struggles and the hard times that it takes for us to get to where we need to be. And that's what makes it beautiful.
Mm-hmm. I know as entrepreneurs, sometimes we don't want to share the muck. For me, especially as an energetic coach and a little bit witchy, I know that words and thoughts are spells. And what we think about how we manifest and set intentions. So I find myself sometimes getting caught up in literally the words or thoughts because there's a fine line between negative thoughts and limiting thoughts, but also just things you're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And especially as an entrepreneur and newer out on our own, we can feel all sorts of things about the journey. But it's again, like, I don't want to put out more energy. I don't want to get that. I don't want to get any stagnancies in my business just by simply saying sometimes how hard it is. And then sometimes I do forget. It's hard to remember that we sometimes need to see that or hear that struggle to be like, because out there on social media, not a lot of people are going to tell you about the struggle.
No.
And so it's just, you're helping inspire me to talk a little bit more transparently about my business and where there's been lulls or gaps or disconnects and how I've gotten kind of through that. So thank you.
You're welcome.
And it's primarily talking to women like you and saying like, hey, this is a damn week. Okay. help, please.
Yeah.
And of course, there's a lot of things energetically going on this week in particular. So we're in April. That's wild. We're in Aries season, which I'm an Aries, so I'm always fiery. Everyone's like, what is this energy right now? I'm like, welcome to Aries. This is what we are all the time. You made a great post the other day that I wanted to read because I actually didn't know this. April is Celebrate Diversity Month. This month we celebrate our differences and similarities. Diversity comes in all colors, shapes, forms, and sizes. It doesn't matter if you agree or understand diversity, but what matters is your willingness to accept people for who they are without judgment. Representation matters, and it gets us one step closer to equity. What will you be doing to help celebrate diversity this month? What does that look like for you in your business and your organization? Tell us more.
I am a huge advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm also really big on creating a positive culture in the workplace, but implementing the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion is even more pivotal. I think as leaders, it's important for us to know what it means to have a diverse team, what it means to be creating equitable opportunities for everyone, and creating an inclusive society for everyone as well. So for me, I feel like that means providing teams with the programs and the trainings to be successful and knowing how to enforce that inclusive culture. I also feel like being aware of when you're being biased and showing favoritism and learning how to eliminate those things. And also having representation is so important. And like I said, it's going to get us one step closer to equity. But what I find is that a lot of organizations, we're recruiting diverse talent, but we're not doing anything to retain them. And that is key. The key is retaining diverse talent. So it's like, yeah, we need to have representation in our company. It's like, yeah, we need to have representation in our company. Yes, there's a certain threshold that we have to meet, but what are we doing to retain the talent? So after they get out of training for a week, are we following up with them? Are we providing them with a development plan? Like, where are they at in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? And I think that to me is really the key. And also for me, I've led and organized a lot of D&I meetings. And what I found was that I was opening the doors for people to show up as their most authentic self and creating this space for people to be vulnerable and discuss topics such as mental health awareness and psychological safety and, recognize things going on in the country like Juneteenth and Pride Month and Hispanic Heritage Month. Like, all of these things are important. And again, it goes back to how we are integrating that into leadership development. That is important. Like, anybody can get in front of people and say, delegate tasks and inspire them. But when we're opening the doors for communication and trust and really implementing and understand the importance of diversity, equity, inclusion, then I think that's where the real change starts, Amy.
You brought up bias. And for me, as a beautiful intersectional feminist, my sacred rage can be beautifully powerful at times. It's easy to get, I'll speak for myself. It's easy for me to get mad at someone for having a bias or having something. It's one thing to have a bias, and another thing if, like, you say something egregious or do something egregious that's obviously just not okay as a human. But when it comes to bias, Dr. Nikki Lanier had this amazing analogy that made me laugh. And now I can't remember the flower that she used. She was like, imagine growing up as a daisy, and all around you, as far as I can see, is daisies. And then you grow up and you go get a job, and suddenly there's daisies, but there's also petunias and roses. The point is, you only know what you know or what you've grown up with, fair, and the openness to understand that limitation and to further be open to a growth mindset to understand what it means to include all the non-daisies and that there's more perspective than the daisies, That's where I get frustrated if people are not open to that. That's when our time will be limited together.
Yeah. No, I agree with that, because what I have observed is that we have so many organizations that, again, they're creating these programs, they're creating these trainings to help their leaders understand DE&I. But sadly, a lot of people within organizations they're not trying to be an ally and they're not really trying to understand. And that is the unfortunate part, because it's like, well, how can we truly move the needle forward if we can't even get all of our leaders on the same page to understand how can we drive real change within our organization.
And further, so many of the systems, the deep rooted systems down to whether it be procurement or both systemic or institutional, like the way that the business is run was
Mm-hmm.
created 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 100 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So those deep rooted systems that were only for one type of person are still in place. So it takes a lot of actually upheaval, and current day businesses run so fast and are really laser focused because it's a cutthroat capitalist society. So they're like, upheaval, nope, not doing that. So then it just becomes like this DEI thing, this program or initiative slapped on top of an organization. And it's like, well, that's not really going to work.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes some extent to upheaval, and there's not a whole mass of people willing to do that right now.
Mm-hmm. Which is unfortunate, but I think it takes true leadership to make it more aware.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't force people to do anything, but I feel like if you consider yourself a leader,
Mm-hmm.
then you should have a growth mindset. You should be open to change. You should be open to wanting to hear about initiatives or, things that could really, drive change for the community and, in society, altogether. But for me, it's so close to my heart, because I've went through certain things in my career. So I know what it feels like to not feel seen, heard, and valued.
Right.
And that's why I think it's important to continue to have these conversations and
Mm-hmm.
continue to hold people accountable
Mm-hmm.
so that they won't forget and so that they can see the seriousness
Mm-hmm.
of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
What would you tell someone in real time? Well, first of all, let me ask you this. Are you more of an advocate of calling someone out or calling them in? And to you, what's the difference?
That's actually a really good question. I
I'm, I'm giggling. I'm giggling because like my badass energy, my activist energy wants to call someone out. My
Yeah.
goddess energy, love and light, high vibration wants to call them in. And it just depends on the moment. A lot of
Yeah, and that's why I love you, Amy, because I feel like we have so much in common. And I feel
times.
like it's like a 50-50 thing.
Yeah.
I think if I have that urge or the energy to call someone out, it would have to be if they're doing a lot of talking and they're not acting on it. But really, from the goddess standpoint, like you said, honestly, it would be trying to bring someone in just to keep the peace, just to keep it
Ah,
professional.
I'm not trying to
Yeah.
be professional. I'm not trying to keep it nice. I don't mean to talk over you and like say like that's not valid. It absolutely is your right. And for how long have we been the good girls, the nice, the polite? And that doesn't work either. If you're going to come at me sideways, be ready to receive the badass Amy, okay? Because we're not in a safe space. And maybe let's play that out a little bit. A lot of people talk about calling out versus calling in. For me, and then I want to hear yours too. Calling out would be you say something egregious or like of one of the isms to me. If you say it to me, uh, you're gonna get something along the lines of, who the fuck do you think you are to say that to me? Okay, so that's a calling out from my
Mm-hmm.
perspective. Or in a different setting where I don't feel like personally offended, which by the way, me reacting like that, that's mine to heal. That's something within me, right? But I also think I'm wondering, calling out could also be, that's not okay to say that. I'm not comfortable with you saying that. To me, that's still a call out, whereas a call in might be something like, help me understand why you feel that way. Tell me more.
Yeah, I feel like when you call somebody out, you're pointing the fingers right at them. You're saying their
Yeah.
name. You're leaving a comment directly on their post. You're really calling them out. But calling them in, I mean, yeah, it's saying, I want to help you. I want to help you understand, or making them more aware of something that they said so that they can
Yes. they might not even know. And here's where I'm going to speak in goddess energy for a moment because there's always justifications. I typically feel the need to say it's about not judging where they're coming from and allowing yourself to extend empathy and compassion
Mm-hmm.
to lend them a safe space to say, this is all I know, giving them the benefit of the doubt that they don't understand that they're doing or saying something that's hurtful, harmful to someone else. Now, that does not mean that we have to agree or give them a pass or justify. They have the choice then to hear me and understand why it could be harmful. Then they get to choose what they do with that because free will is beautiful. And based on what they do then, I get to choose how much energy I extend to them in the future.
Yeah, I agree. Because I mean, I've had so many conversations with people where, in the beginning, I do try to give them the benefit of the doubt. I say to myself, you know what, maybe they're not aware that they've done this. Maybe they're not aware that they've come across this way. So let me give them that feedback. Let me make them aware so that they can work on it and try to move forward differently in the future. But when I see that it's repetitive and it keeps happening, then that's something that they're struggling with within their self. Now I already had this conversation with you once. I'm not going to keep repeating myself. So, again, like you said, I think it starts from if they truly want to change. And if they continue to do it, then again, it's something that they're struggling with within themselves. And it's like, how many times can you continue to have the same conversation with someone? Like, I've already lended out a helping hand. I've already given you feedback. I'm holding you accountable and letting you know what you said wasn't the correct way to say it. So I'm giving you this feedback. Now it's up to you to take that feedback and learn how to work on yourself and learn how you can approach the situation differently next time.
Do you find that, and I'm going to make this about generations intentionally. Do you find that that it varies, the conversation varies from a DEI perspective across generations? Because there's the big four in the workplace, especially right now, Boomer, X, Millennial, Z. Z is like, I love Z. Z is coming in fully expecting everyone to understand their worth and their unique brilliance. They expect it. They mandate it. Millennials, and I'm an elder millennial, we played the game for a little while, and chances are now in our 40s, we're like, I don't think I want that. X is still in the game, Boomer's in the game. Does it matter by generation? Do you find?
I would say, yeah. And I say that because I think now we're in a generation where people are more exposed to things. Whereas back in the day, like we didn't have social media, we didn't have platforms to go and check to see like what was the latest trend or what's currently going on in society. I mean, we had 257 and 9, TV to like receive information. But I think because we're in a world now where people are more exposed to things, like people are shedding more light on things that we were not aware of back then. I absolutely do think that it is different amongst generations.
I do too. And I swear, I'm not saying this from a place of anger, but with love and light in my heart, Boomers and X, if you're not going to come with us, get out of the way.
Yeah.
We don't have time. We don't have room for you to only perform or be in one way anymore. The earth doesn't have time for it. Humanity doesn't have time for it. So come with us or get out of the way.
And Amy, also what I find is that social media can be a good thing and it also can be a bad thing. I think now there are so many things, going on in the world where a lot of it is on camera now. So a lot of people are seeing things and, they're thinking to themselves, this isn't right, and from seeing those things, actually getting to see them firsthand, they're just starting to see some of the barriers that people have been facing all of these years.
Mhm.
And I think that if social media was a big thing back in the day, I do truly believe that people would be more open, to the importance of DE&I and, wanting to help drive that change. But I think, people are just a little bit kind of set in their ways.
I've heard so many older generations say things like, everybody's so sensitive these days. And I will challenge that. I will say, is that true? Or is it that people have always been uncomfortable with certain rhetorics that you subscribe to, and they've not said anything in order to keep the peace with you?
Mm.
So sit with that. We are becoming, again, Z is coming in and saying, here are my boundaries, like in or out.
Yeah.
That's getting more and more firm. And who knows, Alpha is right behind them. And I'm sure Alpha is going to be even more like, this is the standard, you know? So what I would love to see is this beautiful coming together of the big four generations that are in the work. Let's talk about the workplace specifically, but the world, there are so many assumptions. What if the big four could just come together and have such a beautifully open conversation? To your point, very vulnerable. Me, and this is what I envision it looking like. I don't like your generation because this, that, and the other thing. Great. Everybody gets their chance to say that. And then start asking questions. What was your favorite part about your childhood or your upbringing? Tell me about what your childhood looked like, where, like when you used to watch commercials and those don't exist now. What? There are so many things that are so cool that we could learn. And I feel like I just wish there would be like this really big, beautiful conversation between the big four to figure out how we set up millennial, Z, alpha, and beyond in true success. Because frankly, the systems we're talking about today, healthcare, government, retirement, any of it, those are so outdated. Who knows when we get to retirement? If we'll get to retire, who knows? So that's what I mean. I would love to have that conversation.
I would too. And I mean, I think it's something that's possible. I think the thing is, if they truly want to do that, if they truly want to come together and have these conversations.
Mhm.
But I do think it's possible for some.
And with light and love, those who don't want to come together, get out of the way.
Get out of the way.
Imani, where can we find you?
Amy, I am on Instagram _beautiful becoming, and I'm also on LinkedIn. So those are two platforms that people can find me on.
Do you have a website?
I do. It's www.beautifulbecoming.com/Canva.
Closing remarks as we start to wrap up.
Amy, I just want to share with people a famous quote by Gandhi, and that's be the change you wish to see in the world. And I just want leaders to lead with their actions and not just their words. That is how I'm going to end this conversation, this beautiful conversation.
Thanks, Imani.
Thank you, Amy.